On the surface, Crimson Desert and GTA 6 might not have a lot in common. Tonally, that's correct, as the two titles go for a very different vibe and setting in their story, visuals, and art style. But beauty is only skin deep, as they say, and as I look a little deeper beneath the surface, I cannot help but feel like they're going to have a few similarities. With GTA 6 quite a long while away from its final release, I began to wonder if Crimson Desert could allow me to muster a bit of patience, leading me to think about how very different titles have more in common than you'd think. For starters, they feature multiple playable characters in a seamless open world that has a lot to do and discover in it. Their stories are meant to be engrossing, while their worlds are meant to be distracting, pulling you in a different direction than the one you intended to take when you settled down for some playtime. It's a design philosophy that we've seen quite often over the years, with GTA 5 being quite a good showcase of how that formula works. It's quite simple, really. Just give players a massive world to explore, and all the agency that they need to craft their own journey to the narrative's climax, making fond memories along the way. It's worked very well before, and with Crimson Desert all set for a March 2026 release, I believe that Pywell is quite an acceptable destination to live out my RPG fantasies while I wait for GTA 6 to drop after years of waiting for it. Now, perhaps you're not convinced? Well, that's alright. Allow me to take you through why I believe Crimson Desert is going to be a balm for my impatience and what is now the final leg of a long wait for Rockstar's upcoming blockbuster release. The size and scope of Pywell. Everything I've seen of Crimson Desert so far, recent showcases included, points to Pywell being an absolutely ginormous map, with 5 distinct regions, each with their own underlying environments and residents that reflect those themes. I can already see myself spending hours losing myself in the biomes, hunting down objective after objective, while Cliff's narrative adventures take a back seat. That's already an open world that wins in my book, and the sheer amount of cool things to do in Pywell's already had me cracking my knuckles in preparation for some very long gaming sessions next month. The traversal mechanics look sublime, and getting to ride a horse, glide on your own wings, sort of, or hop onto a massive dragon to soar across the lands gives me the impression that they're all there to ensure that we're less likely to miss out on all that this mysterious land has to offer. It takes me back to GTA 5 and the way in which we always had a vehicle at our disposal and could choose to obtain one based on the situation at hand. Need a quick way to weave between vehicles on the road? Well, get your hands on a motorcycle. Need to take to the skies for a mission? You could get your hands on a plane, no worries. I don't see why GTA 6 could be any different, and that's the first intersection I could think of when I came to comparing it with Crimson Desert. In both titles, traversing the massive world you're let loose in isn't a matter of spectacle or the need to add something in just because it's cool. They're effective tools to convey scale and ways to give players a means of transport that would suit their tastes or perhaps their needs in any given situation. They're also a way to encourage exploring the world without a plan, letting the thrill of discovery become its own reward aside from useful items and loot that could enhance your character's abilities. But a massive world can feel very empty if there wasn't a lot of meaningful stuff to do in it. Cliff is going to be stretched thin during his time in Pywell if the showcases are any indication. There are gray mains to track down, old comrades to assist, areas to liberate, rival factions to contend with, activities like fishing and the like, old ruins to explore, and the abyss and its mysteries to uncover. Once again, GTA 6 is poised to take a similar approach, letting its players loose in a world where they can choose to do anything that they decide to do. Like GTA 5, I'm almost certain that the city we're set to explore comes with so much stuff to do it can be hard to believe that a duo or a trio perhaps of characters are capable of tackling it at all. When seen through that lens, it's easy to see how Pywell can be a suitable placebo for the impatient explorer in me who simply cannot wait to see what shenanigans Lucia and Jason get up to in Leonida. And that brings me to another area of similarity between GTA and Crimson Desert: the inclusion of multiple playable characters. Experiencing the Greymane saga. The reveal that Cliff was not the only Greymane I would be playing as in Crimson Desert had me over the moon. I love open worlds that have different people exploring them, the potential for variety and crafting varying builds being a huge draw for me. GTA 5's trio of protagonists were so distinct from each other their personalities often clashing over the course of the story, while switching between them was quite seamless and also fun, as you never knew where your character was going to be when you made that switch. Although that title's combat left little room for variation thanks to the franchise's more grounded setting, I liked that I could get creative with their loadouts and inject a bit of variance into my experience. It worked simply because the characters were not just different skins of one main protagonist. Crimson Desert might fall flat if its playable characters are too similar to Cliff, but that isn't the case. His companions are already showing off their own unique ways to get across Pywell, while their combat abilities seem distinct enough to make them stand out from Cliff quite significantly. I'm expecting that while their traversal animations might be different, the principles are going to be the same. However, I do think that their combat potential in areas that can only be explored by one or the other are going to be part of the experience, making them feel distinct and perhaps even making me care about their stories too. I'm hopeful that the game's enemy and boss designs reflect their unique skill sets, making a few of them easier to tackle if you choose to take them on as a character other than Cliff. Although the developer has asserted that the main story is going to revolve around Cliff for the most part, I'm still excited to see if the three-pronged approach to its protagonist is going to be handled as well as it was in GTA 5. GTA 6 already has 2 playable characters, and is likely going to let you switch between them at will, as it wouldn't make sense not to. It's another thing that it shares in common with Crimson Desert, and is a factor that's going to be part of me enjoying another important facet of both experiences: the combat. A fight for survival. We know that Jason and Lucia are going to have their backs to the wall in GTA 6, which obviously leads to a lot of sticky situations where diplomacy might not be enough to save their hides. But can GTA's more grounded take on combat find common ground with Crimson Desert's fantasy trappings? Well, yes, as it turns out. Cliff might not rely on grenade launchers for the most part, although the mech that was showcased recently had me wondering if Pywell is more technologically advanced than it's letting on. We also know that building Cliff's arsenal and skill set is going to be a journey on its own, with the freedom to mix and match your abilities to suit your own playstyle. The 2 games might be wildly different in the tools that you're given to deal with your opposition, but the underlying principle is a common factor. They're about starting from scratch and building your characters in a way that makes sense to you. That's always a joy to behold in games that get it right, and Crimson Desert looks like it's giving you all of the tools that you need, and more, to make the most of its combat system. It's a great way to scratch that RPG itch that's already beginning to set in as the days go slowly by until it's finally time to travel to Leonida in November. Different games, similar aims. On paper, Crimson Desert and GTA 6 look like wildly different titles among the best of what 2026 has to offer. But look beyond their thematic influences and you see design philosophies that aim to present a very specific type of experience. While I'm cautiously optimistic about Crimson Desert, I do think it's a viable stopgap solution for fans who cannot wait for GTA 6. It might even stand out as a fantasy-themed take on Rockstar's own gameplay loop if the developer has indeed cooked as well as it seems to have done. They're both games that are going to have us pouring hours into them once we set foot into their worlds, after all. I'm excited for both of them, and I cannot wait to take on whatever Pywell has to offer over the course of this year. But for now, I must be content and patiently crossing the days off my calendar until I can join Cliff's effort to rebuild the Greymanes.
And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.